Hey y'all, so welcome to the channel. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. So we're working on the farmhouse, and yeah, so if you followed previous installments, you see that we're working on a renovation. That renovation is requiring cement, and we're going to mix it ourselves. So we got a cement mixer that's slightly used. Let's see if we can make it work. All right, y'all. So we got this cement mixer, and yeah, she's been stored outside for, I think the person said 7 years since it was last used. And it was stored outside, so we don't know its status. We don't know what's going on with it. I do know that when I tipped it up, because it was facing like this, when I tipped it up, a whole lot of water poured out of here where I know there is a bearing. So I'm a little worried about that. It sat out in the weather, quasi-covered for a little while, and then I guess the cover blew off and it never got recovered. The good thing is the motor itself, because it is electric, the motor itself has a cover on it. What we're going to do is first pull the cover, see what's going on in here, make sure that no wires are disconnected, nothing's dry rotted, wires touching.
Nothing's living in there.
Yeah, as Rachel said, nothing's living in there. And just make sure that it's safe to even plug in and turn on. Then we'll get her turned on. If it works, we got to fix some wheel issues. I mean, you can see the center's just blasted out of that. I know I put the cart before the horse because we went and bought an axle, some wheels, and some wheel collars. Because I'm pretty sure even if there's, something messed up with the wiring or whatever, we can get her fixed. So these things are expensive, Here in Germany, something like this, which is a 140-liter mixer, which is on the larger side for a mixer here, they run for like 500 euro, probably a little more. You can pick up the little 120 liters, which I know you're only talking 20-liter difference. But when it comes to mixing cement, you're going to want to mix as much as you can at once. And so, if I can throw a little money at it and make it work, yeah, we're good. Yeah, same as a lot of money. And I know it's not mine. It is still my neighbor's. I didn't buy it from him or anything like that. But I have a feeling it's going to live here because we have a whole farm. We have so much room here when it comes to like inside storage that, yeah.
All our friends have stuff stored
yeah.
in our farm.
So like all my hay equipment is sitting in this workshop right now. It will get relocated. But like even behind me, I have my Jeep, which needs a track bar. I have my Mustang over there underneath the green blankets. Or the tan blankets, tan blanket. Because the Mustang is too low for Germany, and there's a couple little things I need to do to it, and I can drive it here in Germany. But we're not ready to cross that bridge yet. But I do want to get the track bar on this. But the track bar means I need to put a lift over there. Because the track bar, the nuts rusted off on it, and it's like round, and I got to cut it. And I don't want to screw the frame up, so I want it on a lift when I do it. But anyway, we went down the rabbit hole to another whole project altogether. But so there is no grease fitting here. So we're going to have to come up with a way to get grease in this bearing. I could try just smushing it in this little edge right here, but I don't think that's going to work. We'll figure that out when we get to it, because first things first is we need to get this electrical motor cover off, and get a look inside. So let's knock that out first. All right, y'all. So there is 3 10mm screws holding this on. So we got one up here. We'll just start loosening that one up. We'll leave that one pinned because there's 2 more down here. Oh. Let's see if we can get that broken loose without breaking it. All right, looks like we got that one. And that one. And that's 2. And let me set these over here on the workbench. And put my tools down so that I can hold this while I try to get this last one out. Oh, I'm going to need the ratchet for that one. Let's get her on out of there. All right. Oh, that was a long one. So, I think that is all of it. Let me set you up. So we'll put you right up here on top of the barrel. Don't fall. All right, we got you on top of the barrel. And we'll try to get this off of here. All right. So, let me show you what we got going on here. So we have the electric motor, which is down here. Turns that with a belt to turn that drum. And it looks fairly simple. Here's a switch under here, and there's Penny Dog. And the plug for it. So I don't see any like exposed wire. Oh, yep, there's some in there. If Rachel could bring me the flashlight on the workbench or on the toolbox, somewhere over there. Thank you, dear. So there is a cable that comes directly up from that right there. So no wires are chewed up. Everything looks okay. Yeah. I was wondering if there was like a grease fitting or something in here for that little axle that goes through, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It turns really slow in the grand scheme of things. I mean, like a couple revolutions per minute. So, and now Rachel's over here. She's scrubbing that lid. She's gonna try to get all the funk off of it. And while, you know, I mean, I'm a big fan of keeping the tools clean and all that because you gotta make, yeah, you gotta make money with them, right? Yeah, so.
Spare military training though.
Yeah, so we both are prior military, and yeah. Clean, dry, serviceable. That's what they always preached. So. I'm looking for my little rat tail, which you can't find. But that'll do. That'll do. I know it's not what it's for. But winter's gone, but I got this brush. I just want to brush that little bit of cobweb and dirt out of there. Because, you know, why not? Get that all cleaned out. Much better. The belt doesn't look too dried out. I don't see any cracks in it, and there's not much pressure on it. It's just kind of there. So it looks pretty good. Get some light on the subject. Yeah, that looks pretty good in there. It's not really cracked or dry rotted. So, yeah, it's looking pretty good. All right, we got you set up on the tripod. Because the next part is, I think I figured out how I'm going to get to this bearing. So we'll get to that first, since here where it's at is fairly stable. So this drum is heavy. The drum has some cement on it already. So it's very heavy. And I think the best way to do this is going to be, I looked in the parts diagram and it's bolted to this frame. So, and there's some outside spring clips and stuff like that that hold the bearing onto the plate at the top of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen the bolts, we're going to put longer bolts in it and lower it down so that I can get like grease into where the bearing's at, because cramming it in here is not going to work. So let's try that. I'll put you on a quick time lapse while I knock that out. All right, y'all, the bolt method worked. We got it lowered down. So you can see I can put my finger in between the two, and there's a little pocket on the bottom side, and the bearing is actually in this cap up here. And it's held on the shaft with a spring clip. We're not gonna undo all of this. What I wanna do is I wanna put a ton of grease in this pocket, and then when it's in the position where I would be using it, because right now it's upside down, the grease would end up in the bearing just through gravity and probably the little bit of heat that would be generated from this thing turning and turning and turning, mixing cement. So that's my plan, that's my idea. I mean, there's no grease fitting here, so I don't think they intended people to, make it part of routine maintenance of greasing it. So, I think once I fill this pocket with grease, we'll never have to do it again, but the grease will keep the water out. And that's, you don't want rusty bearings and stuff. So, all right, let's get the grease gun and get to pumping this thing full. Alrighty, y'all, so we packed a bunch of grease in there. I don't know if y'all can see that, but we packed a bunch of grease in there, and it's probably going to squeeze out a little bit in the top because I put a mound on it. I know there was grease in here before, because when I pulled these bolts out, the bolts have grease on them. So those bolts go through, they're not a blind hole, they're an open hole on the backside into the drum. So I know, I'm assuming what the manufacturer would do is load that with grease before putting it on, and they figure that's a lifetime worth of grease. Well, it was at least 7 years worth of grease in storage because there was grease on the bolts, but yeah, now we got to button it all back up. So here we go. All right, y'all, so we got it all bolted back up. So we got grease to squish out of here, but none really squished out of there. I was hoping it would, but hey, So there should be plenty of grease because this is always going to be down when the mixer's in use and stuff. I'll turn it up if it's ever stored outside, or to let it like dry out and let the water like run out of it, and so that it's all dry inside. But other than that, she'll usually be sitting like up some. So gravity will pull that grease, I hope. It's got more than it had. So the only thing really left is to wipe up this mess and plug it in and see if she works. Now, I'm happier with it being greased and stuff, so maybe we can see if that grease is actually going to move, because we'll tip it up and stuff like that. So let me get a rag, which I think Rachel has one right there. And we will get this up, because I don't want this ending up on the floor or, you know, in nature or whatever. Or, you know, I'm a messy eater, and I'm not saying I'm going to eat the grease, but my shirts have stains from eating, so I like food. All right, so it's about as good as it's going to get for right now. I say we turn this thing up, plug it in, and see if it works. All right, y'all, so it's kind of the moment of truth. We got her plugged in. We're about to hit the switch, so I guess Rachel's going to... So...
Drum roll.
And let me find the switch. There it is. All right, so it works.
It works.
Sounds pretty smooth. What you hear is the gear. I didn't throw any lube on the gear because we're going to pressure wash this thing off, because there's stuff growing on it. There's, funk. So we'll probably pressure wash it off. We do have to go to the building supply store, so we'll probably pick up orange spray paint to touch up where there's no paint. It's a little bit of overkill, but I would rather have it not rust anymore, right? Because there is some surface rust here and there. And, it's an expensive piece of equipment, and you don't want it to rust out. So, next up is the wheels. So the wheels are going to be fun. We'll get it set up. I got to pick it up and put it on a proper set of blocks. Right now, funny thing is, where we picked it up, right? I went over with the tractor with the pallet forks and picked it up. And the wheels are bad, so the wheels want to fold over. So next to the mixer was a bag of cement that's been outside for 7 years. So now it's a stone. In a paper bag. That's what it's sitting on. So if you look down there, right, it's sitting on what is now a cement block that was a bag. So yeah, we'll have to get rid of that too. But for now, I guess it's we're gonna put some wheels on. We'll work through that. So after a battery change for the camera and a hardware store run for some parts, because we found something out when we did the measurements. Let me show you. So that collar is pretty thick. And when I measured here, we were less than we would have to cut it where the braces come down to fit the distance between the collars. So instead of inside collars, we're going to a washer. So I had to go get some 20 millimeter washers to make it so that these right here, see where it comes down, so that we have some of it here and we're not too awful close to that weld, and everything fits, because I have the tires out, you know, pretty much as far as they can go. So we had to do that. All right, time to get the grinder and get these wheels off. And yeah, so back to a time lapse. All right, so we got the new setup. You can see there, it's just a washer and a washer instead of these collars. So now we measured it. I got 61 centimeters from face to face. So now I have to come over here and cut this to about 61. So got to measure it, mark it, and get it cut. So, and all in this time lapse, I'm going to measure it, mark it, cut it, and install the wheels. So let's have at this. All right, so all that's left is to clean this thing up. She's on her wheels. So I'll get her off the pallet. Yeah, get rid of the bag-shaped stone and roll it outside. Take her outside, take her off to the side, and kind of brush it off and get her cleaned up. So, yeah, we're almost done with this one. All right, we got it out here. Let's get it cleaned up a little. I got to grab a brush. Yeah, I know it's not a cleaning brush, but you know what? With the moss and everything that's on this is going to work. I think that worked rather well. We'll get all that moss out of that ring gear. Now I'm not going to go overkill on it right now, paint it and all that, because I figure let us use it for a little bit, and maybe when we get done, we'll give it a good cleaning and a once over.
Time to put potatoes in the potato bed.
Yep, so she's out back working the garden, and she's putting potatoes in the ground for the next crop.
Come on.
So, I think that's going to do it for now. I think all the rest is just going to end up coming off as we use it. And then when we're done, give it a good once over, because, you know, handling it and all that is going to wear some of this stuff off, and it'll loosen up some of this cement that's on it. So yeah. Some people say it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to work. But like I was saying before, clean, dry, and serviceable. That's what we were taught in the military. I know it's mostly with uniforms and stuff like that, but it's got to be clean and serviceable, right? Well, serviceable she is, clean she's kinda, and we got to work on it some. I think that just using it's going to clean it up quite a bit, like I was saying. So, yeah, I think we're done with this one. And the next one, we're going to be putting this baby to work, I think. Well, we're going to be filling the floor with the sand in the trailer, and then we'll put this to work. But you know my motto if you're a returning subscriber. If you're not, my motto is simple, and my motto I think is important, especially to those of us far from home. And it goes something like this: if you're thinking about family, if you're thinking about friends, give them the what's up or the WhatsApp. You know you'd love to hear from them too. And until the next installment, auf Wiedersehen.